Good afternoon. I have this wonderful opportunity to present after lunch when everybody's falling asleep. But I hope this project is interesting enough for you guys. Can you go back to? Yeah, well, I represent two organizations, both non-profit, both subsidized by the government. The first one is Hong Kong Design Center, runs a series of programs every year, and I look after the annual design week called Business of Design Week. And I've been running that program for the last 10 years. And a year ago, we have a very interesting project in Hong Kong called PMQ, which I have decided to move on to. And, but now I still retain a consultant role at the Design Center on creative projects and on external collaborations. But today I want to share with you a very unique project, a very interesting project, a different business model. Hopefully Penang can draw inspiration to, and it's called PMQ. PMQ, next please. PMQ has a long history, actually. In the 1880s, it was the very first central school that offered Western education in Hong Kong. So, as you can imagine, all the prominent figures and all the really wealthy people, children from good families all went to this school. And it was totally destroyed during the Second World War. And so in 1950s, the British government wanted to attract local citizens to join the police force. So they built the very first local police Mary quarters, providing residence to the local policemen. And that's where PMQ comes from. It came from a very clumsy name called Police Mary Quarter. And we were giving new life to this space, so we just call it PMQ. But we want to retain the heritage and the history of this space. Please. What is PMQ? PMQ is a creative platform, a non-profit platform. We hope to be able to provide young designers a 2 years experience and a space to try out their business models and to strengthen their own brands or their design and to get into the real world. It is a platform to connect and also showcase creative and design process so that the general public understand the value and the process of design. Next, please. And PMQ, our business model, we promised the government owns this piece of land. This piece of land sits in the center of our city, one of the most expensive part of our city on Hollywood Road. It's worth billions. And the government kept it unused for over 12 years because they couldn't think of any good use to use this space, but they didn't want to sell it to developers. So they just kept it there unused in the middle of our city. So after we convinced the government to let the creative industry take advantage of this beautiful site and turn it into a creative platform for young designers, the government made us promise that we have to come up with a business model that is self-sustainable. Meaning the government is not going to give us one single penny to run this place or operate this place, but we have to find ways of sustaining for the next 10 to 15 years. So what we did was, next please, we proposed to separate the site. The site consists of 2 building blocks of 7 stories each. We proposed to the government that we turn 20% of the space into public space so that the general public and the community nearby can use this space. And then we also let 25% of the space and let commercial operators come in, meaning commercial operators meaning restaurants, cafe, established local brands to come in and to pay a commercial rent so that the revenue we collect from the commercial rent we use to support 55% of the local design studios of young designers. The young designers have to pay a nominal rent because we don't want them to live in a fantasy world that there is no rent in their business operation. So they have to learn and use the 2 years of their tenancy to learn how to operate a real business model and to strengthen themselves. And this is our proposed model. And after 1 year, it seems to be working. So this hopefully can encourage the government to open up more sites, which we don't have very many in Hong Kong, to utilize it and use it for different industry or different purposes. Next, please. So PMQ is now a site where you can, you can find restaurants, you can find open space for general public to enjoy, a beautiful roof garden, an exhibition space. You get to see the history of the site we have an underground showcase showing the foundation rock of the central school in the 1880s. And we also have 2 units dedicated to replicate how the policemen used to live, so that when a visitor come onto the site, they get to know the two faces of PMQ. And then we have event and programmings happening. We have restaurants that bring in regular customers. We have cafe that retain customers so that they will stay on site and spend money and look at the products of our designers. And we also have resource center and also libraries and experimental spaces for different use. And we also have pop-ups. Pop-ups are for the young designers who are not ready or who don't have a long-term need for a permanent space. So they can try out their business model or creativity through a pop-up from a period of 1 month to 3 months. So we also want, rather than just providing a space for designers, we also want to provide them support. We give them regular workshops on, we invite retail experts to come in and give them tips. We invite press experts to come in and help them prepare their press kits and prepare their interviews. We also bring in lighting experts to help them light their products well, and then we brought in IP experts to help them protect their IP. And then when the opportunity comes, we try to get them very good opportunities to get out of Hong Kong. For example, when one of luxury brands, Van Cleef & Arpels, came to rent our space, our exhibition space, which is our major revenue-generated space, to bring the very first luxury jewelry school to PMQ. We bartered with them and requested them to send 4 of our accessory designers to Paris, all expense paid for, to go to that school. So these are the 4 young designers, accessory designers, who get these beautiful opportunities to go to Van Cleef to take courses in their school. And then when we work with our Japanese partners, they brought in loft. If you've been to Shibuya, you know Shibuya is one of the most popular consumer center for young products and fashion. So they came in and bought products from 10 of our selected designers and brought them to Japan to showcase their products and also try to find them suppliers and distributors. Next, please. So we want the space to be enjoyed by everyone. So we use the space for designers to connect directly with their consumers. We want to bring in interesting content from overseas to inspire our design community. And then we also want a space to bring in great talents to share their experiences and share their knowledge. So this is what is used. And we also want this place to be enjoyed by the public. So they, like I said, they get very, very nice public space to enjoy. And also the community can feel, all parties can feel that they have an ownership of this project rather than it's only being dedicated to the design industries. Next, please. We want to connect the designers to the world. So at the end of the year, during Design Week, one of the major young programs called offsite program called Detour, which is now being hosted by PMQ and myself, and we use PMQ and turn it into a site for young designers and young artists to come in and express themselves creatively for a 10 days period during the Design Week when the international media, when all the international designers are in town. So this is also a program that we can connect with different countries and bring talents from different countries to Hong Kong and showcase them. If you're interested, please come to talk to me. Next, please. To indicate the success. Well, this is beyond our own expectations. When we opened, a lot of people were skeptical. We had for the 100 units that we offered to young designers, only we received 180 applications. Now we have 500 waiting lists. And then we recorded 3 million visitors in 1 year coming to PMQ. So that means all the designers, the local designers, are being exposed to almost 3 million visitors and could be potential buyers from after they moved into PMQ. And then their media coverage is over $100 million Hong Kong. Next, please. I have 2 cheat slides because Richard only let me have 8 slides. So anyways, we want, sorry. When I was listening to a lot of your presentations, I found that Hong Kong actually have a lot of similarity with Penang because we used to be an important port. And then we also, there was a period where we were very manufacturer-based and heavy. And about 10 and 15 years ago, our government decided that it is time to rebrand because all the manufacturing had moved northward to Shenzhen and Pearl River Delta. So they established a department called Create Hong Kong to subsidize and fund a lot of creative programs. The Design Week, BODW, and PMQ actually are children or offsprings from these creative initiatives. And because what the government wants to indicate is we want the young students to understand that there is a future when they study design. We want the parents to understand that there is also a bright future for their children in design industry. And also we want now that we have PMQ, we want the designers to understand that there is a place for them to showcase and grow their brands and products. So my question to you is, instead of creating new, we talked about branding Penang, we talk about this World Design Capital. Why not, instead of knocking down old places and building new places, can we utilize old places and create new programs and give new life to them, And instead of creating new programs to brand ourselves, are there any really worth supporting old and existing programs here that are very well established and have great potentials to turn into a global event to support? Maybe this is your low-hanging fruit that you wanted to think about when you go home today. And you said there is a young population of young designers and creative people. No, the lack of creative talents in Penang. Some of these beautiful, beautiful places that are, well, this is not unused, but there are a lot of unused heritage sites or heritage spaces. Can those be turned into creative workshops or spaces to fill the void of the lack of creative training in your education system? It's difficult to change the education system, but can we fill that void using some of these old spaces? These are some of the questions I want to leave behind. And if you have any questions about my presentation on my project, please feel free to come to me. Thank you.
William, if you don't mind me, I'll ask a question. There are three friends, Dr. Liu Weigong, Jason, and also Joseph Fu spoke about social innovation. I'm kind of curious, are you doing any work within that space, in your space?
Well, right now, this is only the first year of PMQ, and we have to, we're focusing on our own fine-tuning our operation and opening some of the spaces that we have not yet opened. They are still, like, for example, we have a full 7th floor dedicated to co-working space for startups. And we are just beginning to develop that program. We have a experimental restaurant for young chefs from everywhere to come into Hong Kong, come to PMQ to try out their skills and try to run the young business. We have a design shop that wants to showcase all the products or young products that have never been showcased in Hong Kong from overseas, from young designers, to see if we can help them create a need or find their own distributors. These are the things that we are doing with our existing programs and with our existing space. So we're still fine-tuning our operation. So there's a long way to go as we progress.
Thank you. I think there's so much for us to learn from Nani and from William. And Nani, are you here?
Yeah.
I mean, there's really interesting synergy about placemaking and creative industry, creative economy pushing.
Great. Thank you, William.
Thank you.